Well, hello, good morning, it's your old mate Dave Spencer back with you once again, off on another one of our transport adventures, this time not too far from home. 10 minutes down the road, Kelsall 2025, glorious weather. It's probably going to be the hottest day of the year, possibly up into the 30s. At the moment we got some clouds, some blackish looking clouds, thunderstorms are forecast. I've got the brolly. Anyway, we'll probably have a chat as we go round, and if not, well, certainly at the end of this film. Don't know how many lorries there's going to be, because yes, we shall see what we shall see, and I better get on with it. It's going to be a stonker today, and I'll see you later. Well, rather than starting on the ranks of the ERFs, I thought a good thing to do early on is to go down the roads where you get a lot of public going later in the day, and it's always difficult then getting pictures. So we'll start where the sun is just nicely placed, and then we can pick up on the others later on in the day if we've not been rained out. Well, that looks just a biz, doesn't it, really? Absolutely gorgeous turnout. A lot of the vehicles today we'll have seen before, but I'm sure there will be plenty that we've not seen. And Buxton, of course, this is the sort of thing you'll see up there on the aggregates, and up there where the quarries are, and to this day you can still see the occasional ERF and Foden if you're lucky. Last weekend, of course, we were at Gaydon. Tom, Karen and the gang there put on a fantastic show as per usual. Always a pleasure there. I bumped into Tom as I was going in and asked me how Mandy was, and offered us a brew, because the lady had just come round with their brews for all the marshals. There's a really lovely atmosphere there, really is. It's nice to see so many of the rows already in place, and just waiting for the public to come and admire them. A lot of them have got living accommodation incorporated into their loads, which then they can sheet up to sheet as in sheets. Did I ever tell you the anecdote about you call my hotel? It started with an S. That was in Sierra Leone. Wasn't that long ago I was filming in Bangladesh, and there's lots of Bedford TKs still in service, particularly at the ports in Chittagong. They renamed Chittagong, you know, it's now called Chattabang. I jest not, honestly, that is the truth. Yeah, I know, you yes, couldn't make that one up, could you? All the vehicles are gleaming away in the sunshine. The clouds are going away for the minute. I got up this morning, it was already up to about 25 degrees at home when I went out to water the freshly planted plants. It doesn't go very well, does it, planted plants, but there you go. That's what I did. I watered them because I've been away, been down filming down south on the truck scene. I've filmed in Southampton, and then I did the Isle of Wight for the buses, and ditto over in Southampton and Bournemouth and Poole. If I've seen that one, it's sort of, it's a dinky one, isn't it, in a way? Yes. And it's done up for a fleet down in Launceston in Cornwall. Very nice, very nice. Different. Often at Kelsall I get myself seated up near the tent where the chap who does the commentary is, and then in between bits and pieces there he'll have a chat. And there's a lot of people who have to bluff that sort of thing, because you know you can't be an expert on everything, but some people think they are. It's great when you've only got to go just down the road. I was up fairly early. I was very late to bed, and I was finishing off a film, and I had my OTA hat on, Online Transport Archive. I'm a trustee director, and I look after the films going onto YouTube, and it was something I'd started. It was their old Brighton trolleybus films, no trolleys to the aquarium, and I just wanted to get it loaded up, so I left it going overnight. What happened is we had a power cut, so that was that knackered. It's a few wagons making their way in. And it won't seem but a trice that they're on their way out at 4 o'clock sharp tomorrow afternoon. One thing about getting old, you become invisible. We might just cut round and have a look at the stuff that's coming in, if it's still there, and a few ticks. I'm not going to finish halfway down a row because I can't remember what I did this morning. Certainly not about which row I've got down or not. Well, we've seen these a few times, haven't we? Yes, old friends. The lads are waiting around the corner. Oh, I can see a few coming in. What time of the day do you call this then? Oh. These are just waiting to be parked up. There's a few sort of waiting to come through. So I continue my perambulation along the lines, picking off the ones that are well placed for the sun at the moment. Some of them squeezed in a little bit snugly. This is why it's sort of handy getting them coming in and going out. Certainly no less vehicles than usual. It's keeping it up, the biggest preserve lorry event in the country. Perhaps a little too near than what we'd prefer. Well, will I be so enthusiastic in about 8-9 hours time, or I might be taking shelter in the beer tent if the rain comes down as forecast. 3 o'clock onwards is the time to watch out, I believe. AECs, or unique as they were over in South America, I saw quite a lot of them still in service. About 2007 when we were over in Uruguay in South America. Ah, the hum of a military scamel going past. Looks like we've got a convoy of military vehicles arriving, but ever onwards. As I mentioned before, when we was over in Bangladesh the other week, quite a lot of TKs there, still in regular service. That was to say mostly in in the main port, but then in other places they'd already been sort of relegated, sort of rubbish collection and things like that. Well, it's semi sort of strange to be filming an Irish lorry, because not because it's Irish, but of course Mandy is over in Ireland at the moment, our friends, and then I'm going to do my tour around for the annual trip round in the end of August, beginning of September, when the kids over in Ireland are all back at school. North and south, I'm hoping to fit in at least one rally when we're over there. It's always a devil's of a job trying to sort out the dates. Very tidy vehicles to look at. The little Ford Thames. Very nice indeed. Fire engines coming in now. Seem to come in little bevies, don't they? Different societies look after their different own patch of turf, get them all lined up. You could sort of have a competition, couldn't you? Just trying to identify the vehicles by the sound. That one's a tractor. Well, that much I know. Nah, you cheated, Dave. You saw it going past. I might have done. I am not saying. Well, it certainly goes in the tidy wagon category, isn't it? Isn't it lovely? Nice Atke, Seddon Atkinson, or Seddon, just Seddon, Seddon diesel at that stage. Really nice. Up from Shropshire, belongs to the Shropshire Vehicle Club. I know not who would think of putting a bench in front. Rather annoying, but I'm not going to go picking it up because it looks heavy. It'll probably fall apart the minute I get near it. Gorgeous lorry. Look at that, all sheeted up. Got a great air hole on the top though. Well, my my idea is paying off so far. Some nice shots of the sun just in the right place. I won't be doing this tomorrow at this time of day because I'll be at church at Mobley, and then I'll shoot off, forego my usual cup of tea and a biscuit. Really? Perhaps I'll have the biscuit. Yeah, it was sort of happy days when you could sort of wander around the world still and pick off vehicles like this still in everyday service. It's remarkable that it's not so long ago. I suppose the latest survivors are the wagons out in Cyprus that appear annually on the red soil potato harvest, which we went over to witness. The only hassle we had there was on sort of modern scene with the police turned around and said holiday makers, or whatever they think you are, tourists, are only allowed to take pictures on the beach. That was the message from the police in Cyprus. I'm never going back there. And then I got sort of accosted by the secret police in the Turkish part. Anyway, lots of other places to go. Now this one only carried generals. No use being a colonel or brigadier. This one was definitely only for the generals. Dave, it's a bit too early for your jokes. I know, but it's the Tony Blackburn in me that comes out sometimes, isn't it? Or, should we say, his listeners. Well, back to the Mercs. Oh, there would have been time that was an absolute rarity on the show fields. But now the Scanias and the Volvos and the Mercedes, they're all there, and very nice it is too. Again, harking on about South America, of course, there you even get the Volkswagen lighter commercials. Just a few people strolling back from their ablutions, topping up with water after they got rid of some water. Oh, enough of that, Dave. Oh, dearie me. Have a hot flush. No, it was a toilet flushing. Enough lavatorial humour for this morning, David. I must say the family at Landed, no, they always sort of get me in early, and they've had all of the sort of copies of the DVDs I've done over the years, and always offer a warm welcome. So I can thoroughly recommend the truck side of Llandudno, and of course the buses, and the Northwest Vehicle Restoration Trust at Kirby, of which I'm a sponsor. We provide some of the vehicles for the bus service linking the show fields there up with the Victorian weekend down in the town. There was a time that cream was a very favoured colour for commercial vehicles. Not so much these days though. But I think it always looks the cream and red. It's gorgeous, isn't it, really? Well, I wonder if there are many more rows to go. As I say, it's been a good idea sort of doing what's nicely placed for the sun now, and then doing the other ones when the sun has spun round at the end of the day. We have just had the summer solstice. Yes, we had the longest day yesterday, and the nights are now drawing in. We've arrived in summer, but it's not going to last that long. Oh dear. It's Britain. There was certainly a trend at Gaydon this year, where vehicles with their trailers were there, and all the better for it, really. I enjoyed seeing them. Just look more the biz, don't they? Lovely turnout on this key. Well, they're safe now for something completely different. Not a lot to say. We could go to South America again and say there are loads of Yankee pickup trucks there. I think I saw a few. They're usually used by lots of plumbers and what have you, and you saw them in the main cities like Bogota, etc. And breakfast time for a lot of people. Why not? I'll stop and have my sandwiches a little bit later. Very much located in a particular era when you've got a Leyland DAF. You've got quite a mix of vehicles down this side, which is always very good, isn't it? Watch the old counter clicking up the minutes we've done. Well, Powys Transport, 2 for the price of 1 there. Something I noticed at Truckfest, the other one, Truckfest this year, was that there were a lot less old vehicles there, and also there weren't many of the paint jobs that we usually associated with being shown off. There were some, but nothing really startling. Once again, Powys Transport. I quite like taking the shots of all the lettering and you know, the lining out, etc. on the wagons. Very few people do that now. They certainly stand out though. It's worth the effort. Well, wagons representing all parts of the country. Not too far again, this one, Staffordshire, Bradbury's, Cheadle. No, that's not the Cheadle in Manchester, it's another Cheadle. The other one's in Staffordshire. Have you got that? Oh, just make sure you knew where you were on the globe. And this display sort of bridging the lunch tent accommodation. Let's see if we can get them both in the picture together. You don't have that sort of problem with these kids who take them with their telephones, and they can get incredibly close, very, very wide angle lenses, and they always seem to look pretty good though. I think actually quality of the lens and whatever is quite good to start with, although they always seem to have cracked screens to demonstrate it on. Mammut. Well, when I was working over in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam, I was getting prices for tenders for work at the Europort at Rotterdam, and I was asking their crane side of the business about rates, etc. They got very upset about it. What was this? English people thought they were going to move into the Netherlands and start doing jobs. Hey, no. You always think like places like Netherlands, goody two shoes in the European Union, but you know, when you get there and find out some of the stuff that goes on in Belgium, Holland, etc., they're a lot worse than the Italians or the Greeks for that matter. Well, one good thing, you can still travel the world and still see lots of old American rigs. Very relatively recently, early this year, I was over in the Dominican Republic. I had 3 days away from the family, should we say, and went off and stayed in the capital. I didn't think it was on the sort of wrong side of the capital. You had to travel right across it to get to the bits where they call the industrial zone, and there was wagons galore, and it was a lovely place. Met some super people. Actually, it was the best part of the country, I thought, but there's some very negative stuff about the country. Yes, things like their gold mines and enslaved people, etc. They're terrible to hear about that sort of thing in this day and age. Well, I think our friend had just been testing the speaker down on the arena, making sure that's all ready to go. Still wagons rolling in. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to come. Are there any spaces though? Oh yes, I'm sure there are. Well, we'll swing around. I guess sing around. Oh no, Dave, don't burst into song. We've had that before, haven't we? Oh yes, Would you say never again, Dave? No. I know you and Mandy are big supporters of the Northwest, the Royal Northern College of Music, and that's great, very admirable. But don't go thinking you can sing. No, I'll keep that for Sunday at church, because you can't say anything about it there, and even the choir can be a bit whoopsie-daisy sometimes. Well, there's some stacks on that one. You'd certainly know about it if that rip of everything as it was going down the road, wouldn't you? Anyway, I must get back to my lines. Stick to the lines, Dave, and by the time you've done them all, you'll have gone round because the sun will have spun round on this day after the summer solstice. Yes, it's all bad news now because the days get shorter. Well, I suppose you've got to put the litter bin somewhere, but perhaps not in front of that gorgeous little jog. And it reminds me of plenty of the lorries that I've seen abroad. Perhaps if they speak nicely to the people in the ERF field, there'll be some spaces in the far distance where people, even they don't reach that far down. Hundreds of ERFs. Oh yeah, we've got all that to come yet. We're only just started. Well, we were just talking about the little Bedfords, and makes a magnificent sight. And of course we also mentioned lining out. This one's in the style of Midland Red. Yes, definitely. I've got a collection of models of Midland Red buses, courtesy Roy Finney, the area sec of the Model Bus Federation there. He builds a absolute cracking models for us. Does that for a lot of other people as well. He does a great job and is a really nice person as well. Oh, I just had to sort of reset a few settings on the video camera. It had gone into sort of out of focus mode, and it does that because it selects automatic options when I always have it set as manual focus. But why does it keep going over to automatic? And automatic is nowhere as good as manual, because at least you can control the situation and you don't seem to get them going all blurry. We don't want blurry lorries, do we?
Petrol, isn't it? Straight 6 petrol in it. 4 litre. 3 garages to the mile. I was going to say, is it thirsty? We had a fire engine in the first.
I still go down to Hereford on the road down to Wales. I often do an annual trip and go take films at the roundabout at Ross-on-Wye. Sometimes I go over to do the buses in Hereford. Very nice city. Don't get that many visitors there. The smaller Austins, very favoured by the gauchos in South America, and I remember sort of watching a stream of dust rising up, and it certainly wasn't anybody horseback, but it was a badge engineered era Austin going over the fields, and they arrived looking suitably grizzled and looking like a gaucho. Stereotype. Are they stereotyped? Who knows? Yes, I think it's a hard life. Back in the day we had a Bedford TK horse box jointly with our friends Hill and Sean. Sadly Sean is no longer with us. I should do a sort of a film in memory of Sean. He got an HGV licence. Used to drive up and down the M6, M5. He didn't ever want to be away nights though. He sort of swapped wagons with somebody halfway. I think it was sort of yogurts and stuff like that he drove. Don't see many of these to the dozen in the UK, Chevrolets. Well, it did in the wartime because obviously they were one of the builders of the sort of standard military wagons of the time, and lots of them got soaked up in private and business use after the Second World War. Another Emerton Motors vehicle behind it, which we'll see later on when we do the buses and coaches, and that's a Bedford OB. You can just see that lurking at the back of the Chevrolet. I think pacing yourself is going to be the name of the game today. It's still free of public. Hardly anybody walking in front of us. Almost seems sort of like weird, doesn't it? Yeah, you're so used to thanks, you know, as they just walk right in front of you. As I said before though, you know, when you get older they don't really notice you, which has got its good points, I suppose. I always think the Kelsall shows something of a sort of a secret shared by many, but when you go down south, a lot of people never sort of heard of it, and they think it's advertised still as much a sort of steam event, but that is just a tiny part of the overall picture. The lorries take precedence over everything, so numerous that there's no way you could ever start taking them down to the show ring, but the steamers are sort of parked very close to the show ring, as are the cars, and they get their moment of glory there. The wagons certainly dominate. Well, the atmosphere is really good. Everybody is smiling. The sun is out, and we're ready to rock and roll. Back to Ford Thames. Very much in a sort of working condition. Nice, complete, tidy, but looks like it's done a day's work. I was talking to somebody. That's unusual, you don't often talk to people today. I was chatting to a guy and he was involved in the BBC lorries, the outside broadcasting collection, and I think he was actually sort of involved in it. Something on the camera side, and he knows what to do with it all. And yeah, he wasn't particularly a lorry person as such, but you know, the collections are housed in the lorries largely, and you can get to see all the vintage cameras. Perhaps he was one of the people I was talking to when I was looking for a new professional scanner for the online transport archive. And this is the sort of thing I was talking about. This is a Leyland Albion era, and I think there's certainly more than a couple of vehicles, and I don't know, so often see two together. Are there more? I don't know. It's a sort of vehicle that did survive quite well usually, so specialist, and you get that in a lot of countries. It's specialist kit that tends to last a long time. I think a TK is a good bet for a preserved vehicle. There's plenty of parts for them. Plenty of parts for them, I think. Although I know people were going around buying them up like mad, shipping them as spares out to Africa, where they retain a long time after they'd vanished out of everyday service in Britain. Well, I don't need to tell you about the Lim truck wash. Just to pass our Eagles Airy that looks down on the roundabout outside of the Lim Poplar services. It's not popular, it's poplar, as in trees. And it isn't officially in a motorway services, so it can serve alcohol there. Well, we've got a few Land Rovers lined up behind me, so they're just about right for the sun, so I'll scoot those up as I go past. When we talked about Bedford TKs and Africa, so a reminder, of course, that there was a lot of Land Rovers out there. You still see Land Rovers all over the world. Places like Burma and gosh, too numerous to mention. Obviously, a lot in the likes of Malta, another home to vintage vehicles for many years. Popular place to go. They put punitive taxes on older vehicles as part of their sort of European initiative to drive down emissions, and in the process ruined it as a place to go for the people who like the old vehicles. And, a bit of cloud bubbling up at the moment. I'm not really sure if it's going to turn into anything yet, but it was like this first thing when we came. Good for photography though. Vehicles very much a family passion or enthusiasm, or it's usually the a lot of ladies are into the older vehicles. In the past, certainly a bit of a man's do. All manner of stands.
Cheshire.
I see we've even got something for care supporting nursing at home. Certainly the content of the show spreading far and wide away from perhaps the traditional cleaning products to buff up your wagon. And in its long history, the Land Rovers found work as buses, as fire engines, as what else they do? Well, everything under the sun really. Not always something you'd directly expect a Land Rover to do. The earlier Land Rovers, very sought after, even as sort of something of a barn find. They can fetch quite good money, and people spend a fortune sort of doing them up so they can bounce around and sort of feel the screws coming loose all over the fields, etc. Happy days. If the sun was going to stay out, we could possibly, if the sun was to go in, we could possibly enjoy going around the fields, the ones that we couldn't get a shot of. Who knows? Better move for somebody with their trade vehicle to get by. Me and Mandy always got there early, never late. Get there early bird catches the doodah and all that. I don't think I could say that the Land Rovers are actually best place for the light at the moment, but I'm scooping them up. I'm scooping them all up. And I know, there was all sorts of design improvements and things in the Land Rover family over the years, but nothing really could ever replicate that sight of the very first ones, the Mark 1s or Series 1s. And I often remember the Austin Champs, because my dad was in the TA, my adopted dad, George, who grew up in Liverpool, and he was what was I going to say? Hey, don't tell anybody that, right? I think I'm getting the old D word, wouldn't I? It's Champs, that's it, Austin Champs. So in a TA drill hall there, my dad was a bandsman, used to go over to band practice with him, and there'd be often be Austin Champs there. I always try and be very equitable. I don't particularly enjoy military vehicles. I think we've got enough military stuff around, a bit too much, haven't we? Especially the way the world is at the moment. Then again, it's always been like that. And the stationary engines, right, is something that does get on my nerves. They sort of splash and plosh, splodge and whatever they do all day, plop, 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 plop. I remember in the days when we sponsored the Pops rally, and that was at the Wedgwood Centre at Barlaston. Yeah, and we got rid of them. We didn't have the space for them anyway. There we go. Well, as I say, we move on next to a few more Land Rovers, and then there's a whole row of military vehicles, and I know there's a lot of people into them, and I know a lot about them. I was very much into military stuff at one stage. Well, something I didn't reel off on the list of uses, of course, was ambulance. Pretty common around the world, with Land Rover ambulances, actually. As well as the military, with all sorts of aid organisations, and the third world, it was just right where there weren't proper roads. Plenty of places I've been that are like that, Lower Peover included. Just had to change my first still camera battery. Oh, you soon get through it on these, you know, walking around. I bet I've been here. How long do you think I've been here now? I got here about 8ish, so I wonder what time it is now. Well, these days I don't have to look at my chronometer anymore, because I've got one of these electronic gadgets. A lot of you probably got. It's called a mobile phone. I remember the first time I saw one of these in use, somebody walking along the road, as opposed to in the car. They were called car phones originally, and that was down in Guildford. That's where I saw somebody with it. It was a massive, great big thing, like a huge sort of walkie-talkie type of thing. Anyway, it's now just gone 9:30, so I've been here about an hour and a half already. Soaking up the sun. Well, I hope this works out, because I'm hoping, because people don't tend to walk to the nether regions of the ERF field, you don't get all the sort of public people walking in front of you, so I sort of scoop around these roads, because people are nearer the facilities like the shops and the catering and the ring, etc. You get more of them around this area. I just keep thinking of uses now for them, as well as fire and ambulance, of course, the police cars around the world, even in the communist bloc countries to some extent. I think they turn up everywhere, really. We can add to our list of duties for the Land Rover, and we can add a tow truck to the list.
Well, we need to.
We need that thing to take down there.
Oh, the arena, we are told in the background there, is going to start at 10 o'clock. He's extolling the virtues of the food stands. I went on one that had genuine sort of home-cooked farmhouse food, and they had giant Eccles cakes. It looked lovely. Absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I think it's sacrilege. Somebody can't make a decent Eccles cake, they shouldn't mess about trying. Best ones, par none, are Marks and Spencer's. Whatever the faults of Marks and Spencer's, their Eccles cakes are the bee's knees. Well, he's still reeling off all the things that are going to go on in the arena. I have been known to take a bit of a break from the lines and venture over there for a bit of a sit down and a rest and eat my sandwiches. But with the weather possibly going on the turn about 3 o'clock today, a big time heavy thunderstorms, lightning forecast, so I'm going to make sure I've done as much as possible before then. Well, they're tucking the latecomers into any spare spots, and meanwhile we're just working our way through the military section. It's Austin. After that we've got a couple of Leyland DAFs. Not sure if I really need the guy on the tannoy, but actually, unlike normal, you can actually hear what he's saying, so that's a plus point, isn't it? Is that a merit point for for Kelsall, you can hear what they're saying on the tannoy. So any lost children will be scooped up pretty quickly, as long as they know what their name is.
Break this place from the UK and steam runs and other programs. So there you go. And as I said, it's the ERF society there. Give me a
We just said ERM Society. I think he meant the ERFs. He's just corrected himself. I thought ERM? There is an ERM. I don't know what ERM is though. I can't remember. As I say, they're still busy tucking them all in. We've got a scamel just being tidied away. Always easy with something as big as a scamel, is it? I was just talking about people leaving animals in their cars while they're going around, and when the hottest day of the year is forecast, a pretty dumb thing to do and a pretty catastrophic thing to do for the animal indeed. Well, all the vehicles should be in before the ring events start, because they've got to sort of move around the ground, get them in place. But there are still a few arriving. And smell the freshly mown grass. That particularly British smell. Well, I've sort of gone away from what I'm doing, but the sun is out behind the clouds at the moment, and it does make it possible to sort of spin around and pick off some of the other ones, including the scamel, etc., which have only just arrived. Bedford, a very popular base for the sort of dormobile, caravanette type of thing. My friend has got such a type of vehicle. It's a smaller one than this though, a caravanette. The Willis Jeep, very much a sort of American version of the Land Rover, and it's sort of completely different sort of thing really. These perhaps more famously led to the jeepneys, the buses in the Philippines. I saw some of these there in action not long ago, and they make modern versions of them as well, and they get longer and huger. And anyway, the original ones are now so old they're sort of they're trying to ban them because they're sort of outside the limits of vehicles, are only allowed to be a certain age and always carry on. I think the marshal's taken a break, and does that mean that there aren't any more now to park up? Perhaps it does. And here the vehicles, the traffic, which is near to the Chester Road, the 556. So it's all very close to home for us. See what else is going on, Mark. Duty done, the marshals head off just to see if they can scoop any other late arrivals. All manner of sizes and shapes of vehicles in the military section. Having a chat with the owners of the wagons behind the Leyland and the Scamel, and just did a bit of tidying up on the park in there. Got them in at the bad angle, and hey, these guys know exactly how they want to show off their wagon, don't they? So our next military one in use is heavy recovery, and base still perhaps down in Carmarthen. Well, I know I'm sort of breaking all my carefully laid out plans. Well, I sort of made my mind up when I got here, but I am scooping up a few of these that are parked around us here. Well, this one's all set. Looks like he's ready to go off and invade Wales or something. How will you feel as though you've got that parked on your drive, or your neighbour's got it parked on their drive? Bit of a landmark, I think. Hopefully it's all carefully undercover. I like the ones at Duxford you see there. They've got a little sort of area where they can go and play with their tanks, the track vehicles. And we used to see that when the show bus was on at the Duxford site. Sadly missed. It's now ended up in, where is it? I don't know, Northamptonshire or something. The reserved railway. Very nice people there, and looking forward to it. It's come forward to the summer as opposed to the autumn. Well, it's a good day so far. It's nice to talk to people. We usually sort of know them, more or less, nodding acquaintance at least. I got spotted lots and lots of times at Gaydon last week, and I met another one of our biggest enthusiasts, our biggest fan. There's a little chap, he's about 3 years old, and I think he's from the Netherlands. And give a shout out to all the young guys and girls in the Netherlands who think that our films just do the right thing for that. Yeah, we try and keep it clean, family channel, little bit of innuendo here and there, but not too much. And yeah, good for the whole family, I think. Well, I have to get back to what I said now, because the sun has come out again. I wasn't sure if it would, but it has. All's well with the world so far. Perhaps I'm ready for a sandwich, a swig of water, who knows. Oh, somebody else coming in. I know where he's going. There you go. It wasn't that hard. We've got green stuff, and if we've got green stuff, we've got somewhere to park them. There you go. Spot on. Well, we've got all sorts of vehicles tucked into all sorts of places, and a little bit of diffused sunlight now. No, I'll stick to my plan and just do where the sun's right. And if I could keep going all day in the 40s with incredibly high humidity in Bangladesh the other month, I'm sure I can manage a little bit of time on the vehicles here. It's supposed to be getting up into the sort of early 30s. Well, I know I keep enthusing about these do's, but you know, really, where else in the world would you get displays like this? Absolutely fantastic. know regular viewers will know that I've enthused about Morris commercials, but one of the nicest experience I had was when I was in Burma on a lads trip with a couple of guys there, and they'd sort of sussed out, they knew what I was into already. We'd already met a few things that were tucked away in garages, but all the old buses and wagons there were still there. And we went down to Moormine, and at the market in the morning they used to come in from the surrounding villages, and at the market in the morning, very poor for light, but I did manage to get a good shot of the radiator, was a Morris commercial, about late 40s I think. And I know Grandfather's axe, and there's an awful lot of bits and pieces that wouldn't be original, but I went out with him. He was going back into town. We found where he lived, miles and miles and miles away, the little village, right across the large river, the bridges there, the soldiers guarding the bridges, all that carry on. And I went round with him, and he was a general carrier. He carried passengers and he carried goods as well, and also the fuel was just in a tank there beside the driver, and he just bunged a sort of milk bottle full, pop bottle full in at the roadside kiosks, and then he just popped that into the thing that was next to him. And then we went to a farm and they were burning off the stubble. I was getting a little bit spooky by then. Happy days. When I grew up, Pickfords just meant Pantechnicons, but of course they'd long been into the heavy haulage industry. In this case, on an Atkinson. Well, we turn our attention to snow business. There's no business like snow business, and there's plenty of vehicles as you go to the colder parts of the world. You see all manner of different adaptations and track vehicles for getting around on the snow.